Na samym początku na pewno byliśmy dla siebie wsparciem. Każdy z nas wysłuchiwał, jakie mamy problemy.
Cześć, witam, dzień dobry, what's up, this is Mike. It's been a long time since I made a video where I actually was confident enough to put my face on camera again. As you can see from the last time I made a video, I've gained a little weight, a little bit bigger around the midsection. It's been about 4 years since I made a video, and I would like to get into why I started making videos again and how I want this channel to proceed moving forward. First and foremost, after 4 years now, I've been separated with my wife, unfortunately. After a very short stint of living here in Poland, after being together for more than 10 years, we moved to Poland and then we got a divorce after, I would say, separated and divorced less than 3 years of residing here. So this was kind of a kick in the rear, I would say. I wasn't saying, I wouldn't say I was expecting to get divorced, but I also would be lying to you, the viewer, if I thought divorce wasn't inevitable. I think we were heading towards that direction. In hindsight, I wish I would have had an opportunity to be the person I am today, to be able to at least have a conversation, a real rational conversation about maybe what my needs were, hearing her needs out. But in fact, we wound up, unfortunately, going silent and going distant and basically growing apart from one another. And that's what this topic is about today, just going through divorce. I have no way of knowing if what I observe is actually true. So I'm going to reach out to you Polish people to be my eyes and ears and tell me what's on the ground. Be the boots on the ground for me, because I would like to validate some of the stuff I see, what I observe in society. So not to get too much into my personal story, but as I said, I got a divorce. It's been about three years now, maybe 3.5 years, 3 years. And it's had its challenges. I will say it's been not necessarily an uphill battle, but it definitely isn't what I was hoping for, considering moving from Los Angeles, California, the United States, and then kind of making this huge emotional and transformational shift. I'm originally from California. The whole life I've ever known has been in Los Angeles. I moved to Poland, hoping in hopes that maybe it would have enhanced my life, of course, and my wife's life more importantly. But now that we can see the outcome of that, it seems like this move didn't benefit either of us. Now, maybe she's totally happy right now. I'm still trying to process what's happening. I've let it go, or at least tried to let it go. But when we go back to now the main topic here being this divorce rate in Poland, from what I can observe, I wanted to talk to you Polish people and see what exactly is happening here. So if we look at the situation here in Poland, it says, from I do to I don't, Poland's new divorce capital revealed. Why I'm citing this is because I can personally tell you, I don't meet a lot of people. I'm an English teacher here in Poland, and it's given me a lot of opportunity to talk to Polish people on a very intimate level. So I can say I have, like, instead of just people posting videos about YouTube on Poland is this and Poland is that and Poland is this, and they paint these really broad assumptions. I've been in Poland right now for 8 years. When I talk to my clients and when I talk to people that I've had encounters with, I actually have numbers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 people that I've met throughout the course of my living here. And this is when I was still living in the small town, Pleszew. I encountered 9 people that have suffered at the hands of divorce. So for me, that's a really high statistic because I haven't met that many people, like I said, on an intimate level here in Poland. And for me to personally know 9 people, so we're talking 18 people in total. But I know 9 couples that have gone through divorce since I've lived here. And I haven't had many interactions with people outside of my own divorce other than clients. So that will get us into this article, From I Do to I Don't, Poland's new divorce capital revealed. So this is not a countrywide statistic. This is about a general region here in Poland. Poland's southern city of Krakow, beautiful city, has emerged as the country's divorce capital, topping national rankings for marital breakups, new data shows. According to the latest figures from GUS, Poland's Central Statistical Office, the historic city recorded about 2.5 divorces per 1,000 residents. That's pretty high. Chem, a town in eastern Poland near the Ukrainian border, followed with 2.4 divorces per 1,000 residents. Came next, each recording around 2.3 divorces per 1,000 residents. The data challenged the widespread belief that large cities dominate divorce statistics. While Krakow is a clear outlier among major urban centers, most of the high divorce rates are found in small and medium towns rather than in Poland's largest metropolitan areas. That's surprising to me because when I was in the village, I lived in this really small village in Gohów. That was the name of the village, Gohów. I would say maybe they had 1,000 residents at best, but the outer lying cities, you had Pleszew, those were the larger, that was a smaller town. And then if you went further east, then you have Kalisz. Across Poland as a whole, the divorce rate in 2024 stood at 1.5 per 1,000 residents. In total, more than 57,000 marriages ended in divorce in Poland in 2024. Now, we have a country of about 38 million people. If we look at the statistics, slightly more in 2023. I don't know what was happening in Poland at this time, but this is when I got a divorce. We were divorced officially in maybe June of 2023. I can tell you, I think a lot of the government policies created a lot of frustration, and that frustration spilled over and created a lot of tension and perhaps resentment that we didn't really speak about as a couple. And I'm talking about my ex-wife and I. Restrictive hours. This age demographic is able to shop at that hour, this demographic at this hour. We could not go into forests. We could not pick mushrooms. It was really restrictive policies. And what you can observe is probably the woman is working from home. The wife is working from home. She's probably the primary caregiver to the children. Children were studying from home. Everything was online with platforms. The husband, who's probably used to going to the office, is now restrictive. He can't go to work. So I think these policies created a lot of strain on marriages because most of the time, I believe, as couples, we're out of the house. We're not really piled up on top of each other. So I think when you have your husband and wife and then a family, I think it creates a lot of frustration. I can personally tell you, I didn't have any problem being around my ex-wife. It was how we were working. We had weak internet signals. This created frustration. This frustration then led into arguments. Why can't we get proper internet connections in this damn Polish village? So what I can observe is now in hindsight, looking back, I created a lot of tension in the house because we just were not prepared for this. The infrastructure was not ready for this. Platforms are crashing. Teams was being overloaded. Zoom was the big platform I was using at the time. Skype was another one I got intimately acquainted with. So I was using Teams before I knew Teams was a thing, Zoom, and then my main go-to was Skype. But what I can say is, again, going back to this topic, divorce. I think when people were on top of each other, not being able to leave the house, not being able to travel, not being able to spread their legs, I think it created a lot of frustration. That figure is well below the historic peak of nearly 72,000 divorces in 2006. Where do most hearts break? Regionally, the highest rates were recorded in the northern and western parts of the country, including the Warmian, Masurian, West Pomeranian, and Kuruvian Pomeranian regions, each about 1.8 divorces per 1,000 people. The lowest rates were seen in Southeast, particularly in, I won't even get to that region, in the South Central Poland, and in the Podkarpacki region along the border of Slovakia. So going more east, so maybe in the east, they're seeing more traditional families, maybe in the west, maybe more westernized values, I don't know. What ends most marriages? According to Goose, nearly 60% of divorces are caused by what is officially described as the incompatibility of characters, a broad category covering long-term conflicts, differing the way thinking and acting, and communication problems. When I got a divorce, we basically had something like irreconcilable differences. No fault divorce. That's what I was told to fill out. Don't even get into trying to repair the marriage. It's a foregone conclusion. It's a done deal. It's a wrap. I want to get into this video real quick that I found online. I did a brief translation if there's any American audience out there, and kind of show what I experienced and perhaps maybe what some Polish people here that might watch this channel.
To może cofnijmy się do początku naszej znajomości i jak nasza wspólna droga się zaczęła.
Jak wspominasz ten początek?
Na samym początku na pewno byliśmy dla siebie wsparciem. Każdy z nas wysłuchiwał, jakie mamy problemy. Mogliśmy praktycznie zawsze liczyć na siebie. Doszliśmy do takiego momentu, że było nam dobrze.
Była ta przede wszystkim więź emocjonalna, która nas
Tak.
łączyła. To było coś takiego ważnego, że bez tego tak naprawdę tworzenie związku nie jest możliwe. Po czasie, moim zdaniem, gdzieś tą więź zatraciliśmy. Nie było jej kompletnie już.
Na początku było wszystko super. W trakcie trwania małżeństwa żeśmy się zaczęli oddalać od siebie. Tak jak powiedziałeś, ta więź emocjonalna zaczęło jej brakować. Tylko gdzieś tam żeśmy się zatracili w tym wszystkim i zamiast mówić o tym głośno, powiedzieć sobie, że tak czujemy, że coś jest nie tak, uciekliśmy.
Uciekaliśmy razem.
So for me, this is, this touches home a little bit because you're talking about the bond they had when they were early in their relationship. Then perhaps as priorities changed in the relationship, they grew apart, they grew distant from one another. And then instead of addressing the elephant in the room, they basically ran away from each other. I think this is really sad. I can totally relate to this. When you don't want to discuss the inconvenient truth, I will say, the things that you think that maybe it's better to ignore the situation and maybe it'll just go away. And in fact, all it does is create further problems because, again, people are not stupid. I hope you would know, like, hey, my wife is not talking to me as much as she used to. My husband isn't paying enough attention to me as he used to. And instead of, again, acknowledging the elephant in the room, we tend to ignore it and hope at some point it will run away. I can personally tell you in my experience, once we moved to this small village, I would say this was when the dynamics of my relationship changed. So I would like to ask you Polish people, when we talk about being incompatible with one another, I have a pattern that I see Polish people have followed that perhaps got married in the 90s or 2000s. It seems like in Poland, because of the relationships, how they're formed at a really young age. And I find more times than not, the women that I've met, they usually met a man in high school and in primary school to university, and they eventually got married. And as they matured and as they developed, their priorities changed, their family values changed. Everything that was probably really good at one point, when you're younger, everything's beautiful and rainbows when you're young. But as you get older and life evolves and you evolve as a person, this is where I find the people, I would say, the majority of people that I've met, this is what happened with their marriages. They grew apart, they grew distant. There weren't any expectations anymore. The relationship just kind of ran its course. So as we can see here in this video, priorities changed. He went a different direction, she went a different direction. And in fact, it ended in a divorce. They seem very amicable. They seem like they're really still caring with one another, caring about one another. But again, this seems to be the sad reality in Poland. And when you couple that with the lack of marriages or the shortage of marriages, the shortage of childbirth, I think Poland's going in a really bad direction. One more thing I would like to add to it, and I don't know if this is I'm getting long-winded here. This is where I would conclude this video. Right now, I think there's a huge psychology boom in Poland. It's a very good profession. You don't necessarily need you need a high certification to achieve this. But I find 3 of my clients who are psychologists, all of them are women. Now, I think there could be something behind that where women who are in this type of industry might have bias towards men. As a client, I think their objective is to help the woman, to get the woman to the next place, to get her to the point where she's able to stand on her own 2 feet. But I think the psychology industry in Poland right now isn't doing a service to men, to be honest with you. I think there needs to be more men in that space. As I said, I think there's some built-in bias against men with these psychologists who happen to be women. And I don't know if they're giving the best advice, to be honest with you. I don't know if women psychologists are giving the best advice. I'm not condemning women psychologists. I'm not saying I don't respect them in their profession. I just think, in my opinion, when I went through, tried to go through couples counseling one time, and I felt like there was a clash of cultural values. And although Polish people who think they're progressive are still conservative, progressiveness is not the same in the United States as it is in Poland. So I can see that my wife and I, we had this agreement about me finding myself, trying to figure out what's happening here, what it is I actually want to do. We came here with no plan. So I felt like the terms and agreements that my wife and I settled on before moving here, once we found ourselves in a difficult situation and actually had to go see couples therapy and couples counseling, I felt demonized. I felt like a loser. I felt the psychologist was looking at me like, I'm a lazy person. I'm manipulating my wife. I'm living off my wife. So I just felt like what my wife and I agreed upon before we moved here, now that we're in Poland and then finding difficulties in our relationship, the psychologist, in my opinion, threw me under the bus. My wife's, so in the end, the conversations that were being had were, I was a manipulator. I've used her this whole time. I just came to Poland to do absolutely nothing. So when I look back at all these things, I'm not saying I condemn all psychologists. I'm just wondering, I'm wondering if some of the psychologists are actually a big part of promoting divorce, because they're looking at things through a biased lens, because they want to improve the life of the woman. And if the woman doesn't find any happiness with being married, if she thinks she's not valued, if she thinks she's not being appreciated like she should as a wife, and then you tell that to a psychologist, I think straight away the psychologist, unless they really get into some program where the man is involved and actually tries to inject himself back into the marriage and actually wants to invest and rediscover love in the relationship, similar to the woman. The woman both people have to participate in this, of course, but I see this as a very disturbing trend. I'm wondering what this looks like for 2026 and beyond. So that's it. I've been talking too much. Let me know what you think about this video. As always, Polish people, I really appreciate being here. It's made me a better person. I have a lot more content to follow. I'll see you on the next one. This is Mike. Cześć.